Okay, my class. So we have established that we know everything that we need to know about traditional societies, about bartering, what bartering was used for, how it was used, and everything. We've answered all the questions that we needed to answer. And if nobody else has any questions about traditional societies, about bartering, we can move on to our promissory notes, coins, and paper money. Okay, so we've gathered from our introduction of the lesson that we're going to be doing promissory notes, we're going to be doing coins, and we're going to move on to paper money. So let's start off with promissory notes. We've established that after bartering occurred with our early civilization people, it moved on to promissory notes. So they needed some form of written documentation, written contract, you can say, for money to be exchanged. So we're gonna go on to explain. We're gonna look at some examples of promissory notes, and we're gonna ask a few questions after that is done. We also need to pay very careful attention. Like I said, we're gonna have an assessment which is gonna weigh a lot, and it has to be done by you guys. So you have to pay very careful attention. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to give you a brief introduction on promissory notes, right? Promissory notes is a note in which one party, the payer, promises in writing to pay a sum of money. So the payer promises in writing to pay a sum of money to the payee, which is the other party. So it can be said that today's bank note is also a promissory note, as it is a signed written agreement between two parties, one being the bank and one being the person that has to pay the money. So we establish that the bank note can also be a promissory note. So the amount of money that the payer needs to pay the payee happens either at a specific time in the future, which is discussed by both parties, or on demand by the payer under specific terms. The word promissory, the word, it means to have a written, signed promise to pay. So class, now we are going to open to our computers in front of us. I want you guys to open your computers. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. We log into your emails. I have emailed each learner a copy of a Word document which contains notes, it contains examples, and it also contains activities. So we're going to look at now we're going to look at the promissory note that we won. I want to show you guys the example. We're going to work through the example. We're going to look through the example from the Word document. It's also going to be displayed on the smart board for you guys. After we look at the example, I'm going to give you a few minutes. There's a short activity, very simple activity, that you're going to answer for 5 minutes, and then we're going to come to the smart board and we are going to answer the same questions there. So I'm going to give you like 5 minutes to look, not 5, like 10 minutes to look at it and answer as much as you can. Look through it carefully and figure out what exactly is the answer, and then we're going to work through it with the smartboard displayed. So everybody is open to their computers, to the Word document, and open to page 3, the example of the promissory notes. We can see at the top it says promissory notes. Then it has the amounts, which will obviously be the amount payable, the dates of when the transaction took place, and then the place of where the transaction took place. Then we see in the next line it has the whole transaction, the whole, as we can say, promise. Let's look at it together. Read through it with me. So it says, I, Mr. ABC, make a commitment to pay XYZ company a sum of. So there, the sum is going to be, the amount of money payable is going to be there. Repayment is to be made in the form of 200 equal parts at an interest rate of 7.2% of the original amount, which is going to be going here, payable on the 10th of each month, beginning on the 10th of the first month, 2011, until the total amount of debt is paid. You need a witness for this. In witness, wherefore, I set my hand under seal. This, it'll be the day that goes in that bracket of the month, comma, the year, and I acknowledge receipt of a complete copy of this instrument. There it has to be the next. It has to be the signature of the person, the payer, and then it has to have the name and address, the party name and address. Excellent, right? So now we know what a promissory note looks like. Okay, so now that the questions have been answered, we fully understand what promissory notes is. Does anybody have any questions? Excellent. If there's no questions, we can go on to the next section in this topic, which would be the history of coins and paper money. So although the barter system carried on for many years, it was not a good way to it was not a very good way to exchange items easily. It became problematic, and it was sometimes not always fair. So our ancient people decided to create coins. Each coin had a value to it, and items according to the necessity, according to their ranking, I would say, they were given a price. So the ancient people made coins out of metal. These are some coins in our country, South Africa, but everywhere all over the world, there are different coins. Each country has their own set of coins and their own set of paper money that they use. So we're going to go on to discuss coins and paper money. So after time started going on, people couldn't really carry big heavy coins in their pockets all the time and travel from this place to the other place to the other place, and also they didn't have places to keep their money safes. So in the ancient times, goldsmiths used to have their own safes and vaults, which they used to allow people to come and give them their money to keep it. And then the goldsmith used to give the people back pieces of paper with the amount of money that is kept for them. So eventually, those pieces of paper became so much easier to work with. So people said, okay, instead of using coins all the time, let's try and make money paper. And that is how paper money was invented. Does anybody have any questions about promissory notes, about coins, and about paper money? Before we go on, we're going to be doing a short activity, a very short activity. It'll take about 10 minutes and then we will conclude the lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to be doing electronic banking, and we're going to be doing the overall role of money.